Let's do it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning edition of LaKesha and Friends. And today I'm so excited to have my friend Corey Pegues with us. And if you do not know Corey, if you have not seen him, you are in for a treat. So before we get started, Corey, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you have done.
Yes, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate having me. Congratulations on your show. We need more women, Black women especially, to be speaking out on issues. Yeah, my name is Corey Pegues, born and raised in Queens, New York. Grew up in a family of six, five sisters and myself. At about the age of 13, I started gravitating to the streets and I started selling drugs, eventually working for one of the most notorious drug teams in America called the Supreme Team. I was sold drugs for about 5 years, and then at the age of 18, with two kids in high school, I enlisted into the U.S. Army. Went to the Army for 3 years and 8 months. Came out of the Army, went to the NYPD, and rapidly rose to the top of the police department. And along the way, I got my bachelor's, my master's. Went to Columbia University, to the Police Management Institute. Was a professor at two different colleges, and now I'm a best-selling author of this book, Once a Cop, award-winning author, and a motivational speaker. I write op-eds. One is right behind me, and just really trying to focus on bridging that gap between the Black and brown community and the police.
Awesome. And one of the things that you were really successful at while you were a police officer was the community policing model. And a lot of people don't really understand what that means. So tell us a little bit about what community policing really looks like.
Well, community policing is exactly what it is. It means like the community works with the police, or the community should really like dictate what the policing is in their community, because they're the ones who's paying the taxes. And so, when I was a police commander, I did like so many different things to bridge that gap between the community and police. I mean, 12 years ago, I was a commander. I was doing newsletters. I was doing Twitter. That was like unheard of. People wasn't even doing that back then. So I was like a unicorn doing stuff like that. People used to be like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" I would go to every meeting and have my assistants collect emails from everybody. If it was 100 people, whatever it was. But I did a newsletter every single month because I wanted to be transparent with the people in the community, so they knew exactly what we was doing. Because you can't, like, once a fire starts, it's hard to put it out. You got to try to like put that fire out before it starts. You understand what I'm saying? So community engagement is really, really the key to this whole thing. All of this stuff that's going on today in America, I started a patrol called the God Squad because I was getting so many people shot. I worked in a very violent place in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. And so many young men and women were getting shot. I had the biggest gang problems in the city of New York. My first year, we took 242 guns off the street. So you can imagine what kind of community policing we had to come up with innovative ideas. And so I had a meeting with all the denominations, the religious denominations, pastors, rabbis. I didn't even know we had a rabbi in this Black community until I got there. We had rabbis, we had everything, priests. So I called them all and I had a meeting. I said, listen, I need y'all. I want to create this group called the God Squad. And they was all looking at me with a look of bewilderment. I said, well, what it's going to do, what it's going to look like and be, when I get the call that somebody got shot, you're going to get the call. I go into the yellow tape, you'll be able to come under that yellow tape. But the reason I need you to come under that yellow tape is to console that family, because I was noticed a lot of them didn't have no religious foundation. They didn't have nobody to turn to. They couldn't even do funerals. So I had the pastors raise their hand and swear to me they weren't charged for funerals, because I know y'all charge a little $300, $400, $500. So listen, this is all about community engagement, transparency, and letting the community know that we really feel for them. And one of the most important things I had them do was to walk the streets at night to the most violent places, from midnight to 4 in the morning, when they out there, them gangbangers, them drug dealers out there. But they had yellow jackets that had God Squad on the back. And if you Google it in New York Times, like, they're worldwide known now. And, because I started it. Now, I'm not looking for the credit Pastor Monroe's, even though you don't give me none. But I started that.
Right. So, and I guess like some people are really frustrated right now because it's like we see the police brutality and we see policing done wrong, essentially. Why do departments not have a desire to do it the right way, to do it the way that you've modeled that has shown success and a reduce in violence and that gets guns off the streets? Like, why is there such a disconnect between those two methods?
Well, it's a total disconnect because you understand it's like raising your kids. Like I know you have a son. So if you allow your son to be buck wild, he's going to be buck wild.
Right.
Policing has been buck wild since the inception. It started as slave patrols, and they have never fixed, what goes on in the Black and brown community. And so until someone really comes along and say, we want to fix it, and the only fix is it's almost like being an alcoholic. You go to AAA, you say, my name is Corey Pegues, I'm an alcoholic, I need help. In policing, we need to say, hey, we have issues policing the Black and brown community. What can we do to change it? And then you bring everybody together, you talk about, just like what me and you doing now, it's the only way you're gonna make change. Right. But you gotta be real, you gotta throw the issues right on the table, have some culpability, and say, hey, I'm willing to change. And until they're willing to do that, they're gonna put a Band-Aid here, a Band-Aid there, a Band-Aid here, because Breonna Taylor won't be the last. George Floyd won't be the last. Every time I do these interviews, I end them saying, it's not going to be the last one. And that's not being malicious. That's just the law of averages. Like while we're talking right now, you and I, there's hundreds of thousands of police stops going on while we're talking. And one in Boise, Idaho might be the bad one. So, it's just so many stops that eventually something's going to happen. But if it's going to happen, we want it to be like the exception and not the norm. Like every week we're hearing there's an exception that don't work for us.
Yeah.
We're always at the end, low on the totem pole, the one that's dead, and having to Breonna Taylor get $12 million. Everybody's like, oh, you got $12 million. Well, I'm not willing to give up on none of my kids for $12 million.
Exactly. So what does it say about policing that police officers would rather walk off the job than be held accountable? Like that was just really astonishing to me. Like when it happened in Buffalo, and then you saw some police officers in Atlanta where there was this like, if we have to be held accountable for our actions, like we would just rather not do this job. And some people internalize that to mean that if they can't kill Black and brown bodies, then they would rather not do their job. But from a police officer standpoint, like what were they really saying in that moment?
Well, what they were saying is basically almost what you were saying. It was like, listen, if we can't do what we want to do, then we don't want to be here. But for me, I was like elated that they walked off the job. Right. Every time I hear like the NYPD said a bunch of people are retiring, I'm elated because I know thousands of Black and brown kids who want to make $100,000 a year, get medical, dental, and all the pensions and all of that, and do the right thing. So let's get rid of the bad and come with the good. So every time I see cops taking this stand where they're leaving and running, I'm looking for 100 Black and brown kids saying, hey, we got some positions, y'all. Let's go. The only way we affect change is getting into the system. So as long as all of these people that don't look like us, they want to leave, fine. Because I got 10 other kids looking to get your job. And actually, we're going to treat people the way they're supposed to be treated. So I don't really have an issue. I want it on record of people retiring, taking the stands, quitting. Bye.
Right. Right. If you're not interested in doing the right thing, then you shouldn't be doing the job. So, but you do bring up a good point because like in our community, like a lot of people look at the police as the enemy. So you have a lot of Black and brown people who don't want to become police officers. So what do you say to people who, kind of think like, oh, I don't want to be a narc, or I don't want to be a snitch. I don't want to be a police officer. Like help us to, kind of figure out like, how do we have that conversation? For them to realize that by being, like you said, a part of the system, you can affect the change that needs to happen in your community.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem and issue. Young Black and brown men, but some women don't want to do it. Like, my daughter's a cop in NYPD, and I have 2 sons of age. They don't want nothing to do with the police. They don't even have interactions with the police, and they hate them.
Right.
And they hate them because of what they see on television. What they hear from their cousins who like live in areas where there's a big police presence. But like, so you try to figure out like, why if these kids don't even have interactions, why do they have this issue with the police? It's because the way they portray us on TV. And so what they see is what they see. And they say, listen, I don't even want to be a part of that. But I'm here to tell them, listen, the only way we're going to affect change is we got to get in there. Like I came out of the military, so I knew policing is a paramilitary organization, meaning it's not all the way military, but it's a step down. So I knew the power structure was at the top. So I was hell bent, get in, get the power, and now I can affect change. You know, being a commander of two of the most violent precincts, two of the precincts that had some of the biggest issues dealing with the community, I wanted that because that's what I wanted to fix. And after leaving those commands, the police community relations was, you know, better than it's ever been. I've been retired 7 years. I'm still getting emails and texts from community members saying, damn, we miss you. All the programs you started, they're gone. Everything you was doing is gone because it's just different. It's just different. But as long as I was the effective change while I was there, I was happy and hoping and praying that the next person to pick up the mantle and run with it. But I was like policing unusual. So nobody was like walking in the streets. Somebody's barbecuing, and I walk up to them and say, "Hey, throw a turkey burger on there for me, man. And give me one scoop of macaroni, please give me that." And like cops would look at me, that was with me, saying, "Boss, you gonna eat that?" And I was like they didn't get it. It wasn't even really about me eating the food. Sometimes I take the food and throw it away. Right. I just wanted them to let them know I'm no better than you. Like I was only years removed from barbecuing on the sidewalk. So let's just not get that twisted. All right. But it was more about engagement, being transparent, letting them know. No, but they was like, damn, you gonna eat with us? Yeah, we're gonna eat. I can't drink no beer. We're gonna eat. I'm gonna eat. We could break some bread. But that's how you break down these walls.
Gotcha. So you've been making the rounds on a lot of the television shows lately talking about police brutality. What have you found has been the biggest questions that people are asking you, or the type of information that people are really like seeking to get a better understanding of the issues?
Well, the biggest issue is, why do we consistently complain about police in our community, but we're not really talking about black on black crime? Wow. And that bothers me because they coined this phrase, black on black crime. So I'm a police commander, biggest police department in the country. I worked in all communities. I worked in white community. Guess who was committing the crime? White people. I worked in Spanish community. Who's committing the crime? Spanish people. So Asian people. So I don't get it. It's not like an Asian person coming into your community and commit crime. So they coined this phrase, black on black crime. Everywhere you live, the crime is being committed by the people that live there. Right. People not coming from outside. So there's white on white crime, black, but they don't even coin that. They just say black on black crime. Yeah, we have our issues. We know you have our issues, but we almost boxed into having crime when you throw us with no education, put us in a low socioeconomic issue, don't fix the streets, you know, don't have heating, don't have air conditioning, all of this stuff. Y'all give us all of these variables that almost frustrates us so much that we say, hey, look, I can't take it no more. The first person to step on my shoe, it's on. Right. But we are trying to be better, of course. But again, even with black on black crime, I always tell these interviewers that black on black crime are not trained to not fight each other or shoot each other. Just get that clear. But a cop is getting $100,000 worth of training not to shoot somebody. So if you want black on black crime to stop, throw a bunch of money in there and train them and tell them not to do this stuff. Give them some education, give them some vocational training, and I promise you to be better. But when I'm looking at these incidents, the only person that's trained to escalate or de-escalate the situation is the police. So it's no comparison with black on black crime and police community relations. There's no comparison at all.
Okay, so you just brought up a great point, because like I haven't understood like why police like shoot to kill instead of like shoot to disarm or shoot to wound. Like if you know that someone is like running away, like why wouldn't you shoot them in the leg instead of shooting them in the back like 10 times?
Okay, well, first of all, I don't know of any police officer or municipality that train cops to shoot in the back. You know, we used to have like in New York a fleeing felon rule that you could just shoot them in the back. They had to take that off the book because them crazy cops were shooting people all day in the back. They run, bam, pop them in the back. So that's pretty much gone. And I know down there in Atlanta, they just shot that kid in the back who was running away. And I know that cop probably is going to get indicted for that. Now, cops are trained to shoot to stop the threat. and they're trained to shoot in what they call the now you got my police hat on. You know I've been retired for 7 years now. Anyway, it's from like the bottom of your neck to the bottom of your stomach. Like that's the target area because it's the biggest part of your body. And it's shown, studies have shown, if you shoot anywhere in that area, the threat should be stopped. As far as shooting in the leg, I'm going to tell you right now, cops can't even go to the police range and shoot at a paper target and hit it when it's non-controversial. So for them to aim and try to shoot somebody in the leg while bullets are flying back at them or they're running, it's just not going to happen. Okay. Most of the times, cops get engaged in these shooting incidents. They're like 3 to 7 feet. It's almost like, wow, it just happens immediately. There's no time. It's not like TV where there's 40 minutes and 20-minute commercials. Like you got them, you got a good sight. No, it's more like bam, 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 bam. They're just running, So let's get rid of that misnomer. Like, why can't they shoot them in the leg? They can't even hit the piece of paper. So, I mean, whenever a cop shoots somebody, it's pretty much a lucky shot, unless they really had time, standing behind a car, standing behind a block, a metal engine or something, and they got time. But those are very, very rare shootings. Incident.
Okay, so I just have one more question on that subject because this is so fascinating to me, and like all the things I've been thinking sitting at home watching crime shows by myself, I finally get to ask you. So like if somebody's like running away, like why not just like let them go? Like why is it that like they have to be like captured in that moment, especially if they're unarmed and they're not dangerous? Like what is the harm in just like, yo, they're running away, I can't catch them, we'll get them tomorrow?
You hit it right on the nose. That's it. Live to see another day. Let them go. Especially especially like if you got their license, you got eyesight, you got a good description of them. Let them go. Me and my partner Bob Mary, shout out to Bob. He'll probably be watching this later. Couple of times we start chasing somebody, we just stop. Be like, we get them tomorrow. Like I'm not chasing them because I'm gonna tell you what happens with these criminals. They either live in a community. Remember we talked about that. They either live in a community. Their girlfriend live in their community or their mother lived there. So they're coming back. I promise you they're coming back. They might not come back for a couple of days, but they will be back on the scene. If you got a detailed description, you just pick them up. It's not hard. Yeah. It's like that Eric Garner incident. It bothers me so much. If you have reasonable suspicion or probable cause to believe he actually was selling illegal cigarettes, y'all know who he is. Right. You can pick him up anytime. He put his hands up. He said, not today. I would have been like, we ain't got much. Wait till he get around a corner away from everybody because he's putting on the show. And then we lock him up. Or we just go pick him up when he get home. Right. There's no need for people to die for nonsense.
Yeah, because most of these guys and ladies, like they don't have the financial resources that they're gonna flee the country. So most of them, like they're not even like leaving the city. So it's not like they're like a flight risk because they've got like $1 million in the bank and they're gonna be tomorrow. Like you said, like they're gonna be around. So yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, because you've been very active, like in your state capital around some issues. So tell us about that work that you've been doing.
Yeah, so I've been pushing legalizing marijuana. It's 12 states already legalized. And in my career, and I speak about it all the time, I've been responsible for thousands of arrests. Not me personally, I've have a couple of hundred arrests, but then supervising all these arrests. I don't know one arrest where marijuana was an aggravating factor, meaning that somebody smoked some marijuana and they made them do a crime. That usually doesn't happen, but I could tell you about somebody that comes off a heroin high or somebody high on cocaine that chopped his whole family heads off, so like this whole marijuana thing, we got to get rid of it. And we can't arrest our way out of a drug addiction. You can't arrest it because once you lock up these crackheads, drug addicts, you send them to jail, they're going to actually get more drugs in jail. They come home, they're going to get drugs again. That's why you'll see. And the public is amazed by Corey Pegues got locked up. He been locked up 25 times. Yeah, 25 because I'm a crackhead. And every time I get out, I need my crack. But we need education. We need education and treatment. So that's the things that I'm working on. We're like really pushing this. It's just like the emotionally disturbed person. Why is it that inside of these psych wards, unarmed counselors are able to calm people down. But you put a cop in a situation, the cop goes right for his gun to kill them. Because that's the only thing cops know. Cops are trained to like arrest people and protect and serve, and they want to get home. Because they're only getting, I think it's unfair to cops to even put them in these situations. It's like the Cahoots unit in Oregon. It started 20 years ago. When there's an emotionally disturbed person called, it's like your son, he's a little emotionally disturbed. He didn't take his medicine. He's breaking up his room. You know he needs his meds. They'll send this unit there, these medical trained professional psychiatrists, to go there to calm him down. And if it gets dangerous, they call the police. But they're the first line. The first wave is them, not the cop. Because the cop come there, the first time he scream and yell at the cop, pick up a lamp, bam, they got yellow.
Right. So, and that's it. Yeah.
Right. So, like, you know, we need to really lock cops into doing police work like homicide, rape, robbery, stolen car, like that type of stuff. Emotionally disturbed person that's nonviolent, don't have a weapon or a gun, call a professional. Drug addict, call a treatment professional. Like, this is the way policing has to go. And people are saying defunding. It's not defunding. I don't know nobody that wants to wipe away police, but we need to restructure it. It needs to be restructured. And those are some of the things we need to do. And also I'm pushing this bystander law, where if there's a cop on the scene and somebody commits a crime and the cop is there and didn't intervene or help, he should be locked up, terminated immediately. There's no suspension for a week, 2 weeks. No, gone, never be a cop again. No longer the bystander law. I want to push this bystander law around the country.
That's awesome. So going back to it, so one of the questions, because again, I have all these questions. So like, how do you feel about like the difference in how we want to treat opioid addiction, whereas we criminalize like heroin and cocaine? Like, what are your thoughts about just the way society has internalized like those two different addictions, mainly because they affect two different communities?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know, but I'm a national speaker for Elite Law Enforcement Action Partnership. And this is what we do. This is right in our wheelhouse. And our position is legalize drugs. Just legalize them all. Even like in Canada, they just legalize like heroin. So what I mean by legalize, I don't want you just going to the convenience store and getting it.
Right.
The government should set up safe havens. You want to shoot heroin? Okay. You go down the block here. We got a building. We're going to give you clean needles, no more needles in the park where our kids are getting poked, grannies, nanas are getting poked. We're going to give you a drug. When you come down off it, we got counselors there. You know, set up safe havens. Let them shoot their drugs because, first of all, they're grown. Can't tell grown people what to do. All right? If I want to shoot drugs, I'm going to shoot drugs. You can't stop me. That's what I'm going to do. But the second thing is we're going to add that piece and trying to get them some help. That's where we need to go with this. So we've been doing a war on drugs, Kiwo, as I affectionately call you, since the Reagan era, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing today? Right. The drug on war. It's not working. So when are we going to pivot? And like I said, let's legalize the drugs. And by the way, if you legalize it, you're gonna make a hell of a lot of money. Look at Denver, Colorado, when they legalized marijuana in Colorado. They have so much money, they can't even put it in the banks. Legalize, so that means tax base. And we get all that drug money. They said we don't have no money for the low socioeconomic neighborhoods. Legalize drugs and get all that tax base, put it there, fix the roads, fix the schools, get jobs, again, programs. That's where we need to go. I mean, I don't know. I might have to just be the president of the United States to fix all this stuff. It's not rocket science.
Right. But if you do that, like it also like takes out like the industry of drug dealers because
exactly.
Right, because then they have no market, because if I can go here and get the needles and the drugs in a safe place, then I'm not, you know, like in a boarded up house, like shooting up drugs, like in secret. So yeah, like we're gonna have to come back and talk about that some more. So I promise I wouldn't keep you, but I just had so many questions for you and I was like really looking forward to this. Tell us a little bit about your book and where people can get access to that.
Yes, thank you. So my book is called Once a Cop, The Street, the Law, Two Worlds, One Man. You can get it everywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, you know, all the sites. But Amazon is the easiest place to get it. The book is written in 3 parts: hustler, cop, and executive. So those 3 mirrors of my life. And Can I plug my documentary that's coming out called A Cops and Robbers Story? Please go to theguardian.com or go on YouTube, type in a Cops and Robbers Story. You can see a 20-minute snippet, and it's coming out in theaters or maybe like Hulu or something, YouTube. I don't know. We're shopping it now to be out by the end of the year, and looking forward to that. And if you want to follow me, you can just follow me on Twitter at CPegues. CPEGUES, or just go to my website, CoreyPegues.com.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you, sis.
Yes, thank you so much for being on, because like I said, I had so many questions and I knew you were the perfect person to come on today and answer them. So you guys go follow my friend Corey. So happy to be connected with you and to have you on our show today.
Thank you so much. See you soon. We got to do part 2, 3, and 4. Listen, you know what? Kiro, this is not going to stop.
Right. So we have to keep the conversation going.
We got to keep it going. And I have a whole cadre of people for you. When you get tired of talking to me, we got a whole bunch of other law enforcement people that could come on and help. All right?
Let's do it.